Hi, and welcome to A History of Klerksdorp, Part 4. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the first stores in Klerksdorp. In a letter by the residents of Klerksdorp to President M.W. Pretorius, sent in 1859, with objection to J.H. Venter's intended laying out of a town at Elandskuil, it is mentioned that products were traded on a market. However, where and in what way this market was run, we do not know. There was trading of some sort, but no known store building. According to Mrs. Johanna Roos, a granddaughter of one of the original voortrekkers who settled here in Klerksdorp, a certain Mr. Krieger had the first shop in Klerksdorp. Unfortunately, no mention of the date is made and no records of the shop could ever be found. In 1865, James Alexander Taylor also set up shop here. 5 years later, Thomas Liesk, who later became a very well-known person in the town, became his partner in 1870. And after that, the business flourished. F.C. Sellers, the famed big game hunter, later even made Klerksdorp his headquarters because it was easy to access supplies. He purchased the supplies he needed for his big game hunts at the store owned by Taylor and Liesk. In turn, he sold the ivory, horns and skins he collected on his hunts back to the store. When Taylor died in 1878, Liesk became the sole proprietor. The shop was located originally in Hendrik Potgieter Road in Oudorp, but after the discovery of gold in the 1880s, Liesk set up a large new shop building in Nieuwedorp in 1889. Thomas Liesk and Company was one of the largest and best known enterprises in Klerksdorp for many years and continued until 1943 when the building was sold. It was originally located on the block of land to the west of the present municipal garden in front of the town hall. In 1951, the building was demolished until the discovery of gold in the 1880s, when, of course, a huge boom came. The town was only known for the present-day Hendrik Potgieter Road, which was at that stage the main street of the town. Houses, shops, hotels, and the church were all built along this one road. It was a typical row town. In other words, a single street or road with a row of houses, each with a large yard where there was sufficient space for gardens and orchards. A water channel ran along the street and houses were then built right on the side of the road. An Indian community was also established early in 1872. They were businessmen who formed the Muhammad Ismail Company. After the establishment of Nieuwedorp, the new part of Klerksdorp, they spent many years trading in what was then known as the Bombay House on the corner of Emily Hobhouse and Cox Streets. In 1838, there was already such a large Indian community that the school board received a petition in which they were asked to apply for an own school, and it was decided to recommend it to the authority. By 1955, Indian traders had claimed a third of the existing trading sites in Klerksdorp. A very big community, or large trading section. The city council of the time was of the opinion that it was out of proportion to their population of 600. Under proclamations number 256 and 257, published in the Government Gazette of 7 November 1958, all Indian persons residing in what was then called white areas had to relocate within 5 years. The first erven of plots or properties in the new Indian residential area, Sakrol, now known as Mansell Park, was only proclaimed on 8 November 1967. In 1963, the City Council decided in principle to erect a business centre specifically for Indian traders, and tenders for such a building was requested in 1968. On Saturday, October 17, 1970, Mr. Blaar Coetzee, the then Minister of Community Development, officially opened this centre, which was erected at a cost of 478,875 Rand. As a matter of interest, the original house in which James Alexander Taylor stayed still exists today. James Taylor had brass tokens made to serve as a form of money and were ordered from a firm in Aberdeen, in Scotland. These tokens were specifically coined to be used in his shop in lieu of cash. These tokens were paid out to farmers bringing their cash crops to the retailer, and these could then again be exchanged for other goods in the shop at a later stage. So it was basically Klerksdorp's own form of money. The tokens consisted of a 1 shilling, a 6 pence and a 3 pence coins denominations, and they were all of the same size, of around 25.5 millimeters round and 1 millimeter thick. All these tokens were made of brass. They are mostly reeded, with some of the 1 shilling tokens being found with a smooth edge. So there was this very specific set that had no reeding. By 1872, business was booming to such an extent that the partners decided to open a second shop in Klerksdorp. Then in October 1876, they opened a third branch of Taylor and Leask General Dealers, where the Kimberley-Pretoria stagecoach route crossed the Makwasi Spruit. So the shop became actually quite a big enterprise. Thomas Leask was born at Adlath in Stennis in Orkney Islands in Scotland on 12 October 1839, the son of a farmer. He was a traveller and hunter. That's how he made a living in his early days. But he retired as a hunter in 1870 and settled in Klerksdorp, where he entered into the partnership with James Taylor and then creating the Thomas Leask, or James Taylor and Thomas Leask Company. Here he also played a leading role in the discovery of the first gold in 1887. He retired to Ardrossan, Scotland in 1902 and died on 7 February 1912. He's buried at Dunblane, Perthshire, where he died of pneumonia after an operation. There is more to tell of Thomas Leask. He was a big man, but that will come in a later episode. A special thank you to Rolf Marx, who provided most of the information I use in these videos. But also a very big thank you to Bezed Coins for photos and additional information regarding the tokens. I had quite an interesting conversation with the man, and do go take a look at the website. Anyway, that is it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed that. Subscribe and look out for the next video. See you then.